What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Resleevables Unglued edition. I'm your host, Cedric Phillips, at Cedric A. Phillips on everything. And of course, I'm joined by Patrick Sullivan at Basic Mountain on Twitter. We are doing something that we've never done before because Magic's never done it before. We are going to lightly critique a humor set.
I'm not critiquing it.
Humor.
I think this is well done.
Oh, God.
I will make my case for it.
Okay.
And you kind of have to hand wave the underlying assumptions of what's going on here.
What does that mean?
A joke set would be fun and funny.
Okay.
Let's assume we're not judging that as an idea.
Okay.
And just focusing in on the execution.
Okay.
This is really well done for what it is.
Oh, boy. All right. All right. So, look, I am coming into this episode with I'm coming with a low grade.
Okay.
That perhaps you can change my opinion on.
Okay.
Over the course of the episode. That's what I'll say, because as I researched this episode, there's some things that we're going to get into in the trivia section that are not great. Tell you that straight up. However, there are some things I like about this. I don't hate everything that's going on here, but this isn't maybe it's just not for me.
What I appreciate about the set the most is that the cards actually work.
Okay.
It's really easy when you're making something like this to just completely go off the rails and say, what's all the wackiest stuff that we can do?
Sure.
What's stuff that's just not compatible with the core game engine? And a lot of the cards here more or less work in a normal setting. It's something that I really appreciate because it's hard to build a deck of nothing but unglued cards. There's just not many of them.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, they do have to function with your nuts and bolts Magic designs. And to the extent that there's some wackiness going on here, a lot of it has to do with, dance around or say a certain word or phrase, things that you can kind of just do. The cards mechanically, not only do they work, but many of them turn out to be the inspiration for actual mechanics and designs that got used down the road.
Well, we are going to go over some of those cards that did influence Magic's history, because we do see like die rolling and a bunch of other things here that did come from specifically this set. So before we get there, we of course are going to start where we always do, with the facts of Unglued. All right, everybody, it is now time for the facts of Unglued. But first, of course, it's the facts from our wonderful sponsor, Tales of Adventure.
You can head over to toamagic.com and check out a selection of over 77,000 SKUs in stock, including 80 pieces of the Power 9, every single revised dual land, and singles of all shapes and sizes in every format that Magic has to offer. Every order placed with Tales of Adventure comes with free tracked shipping. UPS next day and 2-day shipping is offered for orders placed before 8 a.m., and Tales of Adventure has completed over 1 million orders lifetime, so you know you'll be in good hands with Michael Caffrey and his staff. If you'll be attending an event that Tales of Adventure will be at, when you're checking out, you can select the event pickup option, so you can simply pick up the cards you've ordered right at the event that you'll be at. You can find a list of events that Tales of Adventure will be attending right on their homepage, toamagic.com. Lastly, when checking out, be sure to use promo code RESLEEVABLES to get 5% off your entire order. Tales of Adventure Eternal lives here.
Alrighty, let's dive into Unglued, which is the first Magic the Gathering supplemental set to be used outside of normal Magic expansions. Now, one could argue perhaps Portal also checks that box, or Portal Second Age, but what I'm more comfortable saying is this is Magic's first humor set.
Right. It's sort of explicitly not meant to be played seriously, I guess is maybe the bar, whereas Portal is, even though the cards aren't tournament legal and it's an introductory product, it is sort of meant to simulate what an actual one-on-one game of Magic is.
Okay. Unglued was released on August 11th, 1998. That was a long time ago. I was 86, 12. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. Designed by Mark Rosewater, developed by Mark Rosewater, with the art direction by Jesper Meerfers. So, I'm going to ask you a question real quick.
Okay.
When a set is designed and developed by one person, That can't be great.
It's usually not ideal, but if it's going to exist in any setting, it's this.
Okay.
The problem is that a designer is trying to discover the creative space. What are the mechanics and what are the cool concepts? What's the flavor? All that kind of stuff. The development team is tasked with making the game fun to play, balanced. And what that means is some cards are intentionally stronger or weaker than others, and you're sort of informed by the sets that have come before and what you think you're going to want to do in the future. You know, if you know you're doing mirrored and you're doing an artifact set, maybe that informs how many artifacts you want to put in the block before that to set up certain synergies or to protect yourself from things going wrong, whatever. Unfortunately, a thing that can happen here is when someone is the designer and the developer, they can say, what I want is for my set to be powerful.
Okay, sure.
And that gets you into a lot of trouble. And this is not just hypothetical. It's happened with Magic. It's happened with other games that I've worked on. Here, we don't have to really care about the power level so much.
Okay.
It's just, is the experience fun or not? We're sort of intentionally hand-waving competitive play here. So if the designer has a vision for how they want certain cards to interact with one another or what they want to be strong or weak, it doesn't really matter here. And I think that, you know, sort of given the nature of the set, this being sort of a passion project for Mark Rosewater, I think it makes more sense just to let him run point on everything instead of having a formal design to development handoff as such.
Okay, fair enough. Number of cards in here, 94 of them, 83 of which are silver bordered, 5 are black bordered. Those are the beautiful lands, of course. And then 6 tokens. Your total breakdown is 33 commons, 22 uncommons, 28 commons, and the aforementioned 5 basic lands. Very quickly, the Unglued expansion symbol is a broken egg. I think that has a lot to do with the chickens that are in the set, which we will, of course, get to. Now let's talk about those lands because it's probably the thing that people remember most from this set. The lands from Unglued are special full art lands, which have extended artwork inside an oval frame stretching from the top to bottom of the card. On top of that oval frame is a round gem of the appropriate color with the, at the time, current tap symbol. At the bottom is a slightly larger gem featuring the appropriate mana symbol. The top left corner has the name of the basic land, while the bottom left corner simply reads land, with artist and copyright information as well as collector number running along the bottom. Unlike other sets that feature up to 4 distinct arts per basic land, Unglued only has 1 art per basic land. So
this is something that is a little, I don't want to necessarily say bad because there's upsides of doing this, but remember when the Zendikar first came out and they had the full art lands and it was a very exciting thing?
Yeah.
They've done a lot of that now, and so it's lost some of its excitement.
Yeah.
But what's a nice thing about this is it's the first time that it's happened. The lands look visually distinct, and in my opinion, they're quite cool. And that was the hook here for why would a tournament player or collector care about this product that's explicitly not legal in tournaments. It's like, there's some cool lands. They look different.
Yeah, sure.
That could be a reason to, if not buy boosters, at least be interested in going to the LGS and like flipping through a binder, maybe buying some cards.
I agree. And as you mentioned, this is kind of standard run-of-the-mill stuff now for Magic.
Right.
But I can only imagine being there for the first time, seeing these. And I think people really, really get excited about lands, not only back then, but nowadays as well. And having these kind of break the mold on what's possible is really cool.
It is. And I also like it as a signpost for this set specifically. These would look pretty bizarre in most sets.
Oh, yeah.
But because the hook here is, we're doing something wacky and different, they do look very visually distinct, but they also aren't nonsense. I think you could have easily gotten into a spot here if you lost your discipline where you would have made these wacky as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, these are the core game pieces. We're going to make them look a little bit different. We're going to give them a treatment that stands out, but they're not going to be a joke. And there's still players that I run into where these are their preferred basic lands.
Yeah, these lands are great.
Yeah.
These lands are absolutely fantastic. Now, the rest of Unhinged, well, unlike the lands, it's silver bordered joke cards, which are still functional names, flavor text, types, and mechanics, as well as the art featured on the card, parody the game of Magic, individual cards, concepts, the history, or players of the game. So these are definitely joke cards that are meant to be treated as joke cards. There's nothing terribly serious going on about any of these. And as we start going through the mechanics and the cycles and the trivia, if you're unfamiliar with Unglued, you're certainly going to realize that. So look, I would say that as far as hitting the goals of what the set is supposed to be, they did do that.
Right. And in a way that is, in my opinion, again, it's a funny word to use in the context of this set, but disciplined. The cards you can just shuffle up and play with normal cards, and it's just fine.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you have a bunch of rolling of D6s. Okay, that's a little weird. Not that different from flipping a coin.
Mm-hmm.
It is theoretically a thing that you could do. Cards like Timmy Power Gamer, The Cheese Stands Alone, those inspired real Magic designs.
Yep.
And they do just work on their own. Now, The Cheese Stands Alone is really built around-y, but still, there's a very limited set of cards in the set that kind of explicitly don't work outside of this sort of environment.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really appreciate about the execution of this.
Okay. Is this my final one? It is. Unglued and its follow-up set, Unhinged, are also the only sets in which the artwork of non-Planeswalker cards extend outside the art frame. Now, I do wonder, because Magic nowadays has so many darn products, we've got Universes Beyond, we got Secret Lairs, we got all this stuff, right? How true this fact is nowadays. Look, Magic is really hard to keep up with. If you told me that like the Fallout set has some cards extending outside of the art frame, or the Warhammer set, or what was the most recent one?
Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, that. Yeah. If that was going on, sure, I'd believe you, or some Secret Lairs or whatever. But conceptually, to have this happen the first time in a set is pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if this is still true, but again, it is weird for sure, but it's not dissonant with the core game experience.
Yeah. As
indicated by the fact that this became the visual treatment for Planeswalkers and perhaps other cards in the future.
Yeah. So those are the facts of Unglued. We don't have a ton here, but it is interesting that the set's not that big. We've already kind of alluded to that there's more versions of this kind of thing going on with Unhinged and Uninfinity and sets that we already know about. So this is kind of where it all started. But what we do get to talk about right after this short break are the mechanics of the set. All right, everybody, we are here for the mechanics of Unglued, and this probably won't surprise you much that you're not going to find stuff like buyback and cycling or any of that stuff, really.
Yeah, arguably, these mechanics are more fun.
Sure.
I'm sorry, this set's not that bad. It's a funny thing to joke about, and there's some weird stuff going on. It's a well-designed set. I'm sorry.
All right.
Sorry to ruin it for all the other competitive players out there, such as myself. It's not that bad. There's good ideas here. The cards work. Go ahead.
All right. While Unglued dabbles in all sorts of mechanics, including physical actions by the players, specifically noted should be the usage of 6-sided die on cards for random effects. So there is a decent amount of that.
Yep. And again, this is taking something like coin flipping and really expanding it.
Yeah.
But also, I would argue this design space is better than flipping a coin.
Okay.
Because instead of having a binary random outcome, there's just a distribution of stuff.
Yeah, and just random stuff happens.
Yeah.
Which can be pretty fun, actually.
More replayable than flipping a coin.
Many graphic design elements that first appeared in this joke set have crossed over into tournament legal Magic releases, which Patrick has already alluded to a little bit. These include full art basic lands, art extending beyond the frame as seen later on many Planeswalker cards, watermarks in the text box, and sideways printing first seen in Burning Cinder Fury of Crimson Chaos Fire, and later on split cards. So I know, there are some very clear like 1-to-1, like the Cheese Stands Alone, Barren Glory type stuff. Mm-hmm. But, watermarks, which we're used to seeing now, cool, started here. The sideways printing of cards, and I can't believe I'm going to say this card name again, Burning Cinder Fury of Crimson Chaos Fire. They they set the foundation for some stuff here.
Definitely. I mean, Timmy Power Gamer comes out. So this set is in between Exodus and Urza's Saga.
Yeah.
Elvish Piper gets printed as a rare for the first time in Urza's Destiny.
Yeah.
It's the same design.
Yep.
And Elvish Piper was beloved, and it's inspired a million other designs. That was another one of the cards that when I first started working at a shop, as far as cards that weren't for competitive play, it was just casual players, you know, the Sliver Queens and Coat of Arms of the world. Elvish Piper was one of those cards. We could not keep it in stock. It was never remotely playable in a tournament setting at any point. And it's just arguably less fun version of Timmy Power Gamer.
Yeah. No, I remember back in the day, everybody was playing the local shop. They have an Elvish Piper deck.
Right. It's just really fun.
Imagine what could happen.
Yep.
If I untap with this thing and I draw my thing. That's a good card to have around.
Yeah. I'm about to sneak out a Thorn Elemental, which will then be immediately treacheried.
Yeah, that's correct. But at least you got to do it.
At least I got to do it.
Unglued creature types were eliminated from the comprehensive rules list during the Grand Creature Type update. Patrick, there is a creature type game we get to play here.
Okay.
I have 1, 2. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 9. So let's get those. Let's get that scoreboard and sound effects ready and see what you can do here. Chicken changed to bird.
I don't know. There's a million chickens. I don't remember the name. Mesa Chicken?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Got it. Bang.
Clam folk.
I don't know.
Clambassadors.
That's a good name.
Cow.
Crazy Cow?
No, there's a green one.
Green Cow. Help me out.
Hungry heifer.
Okay, hungry.
I know you looked over the set list, so I believe in your ability to maybe get some of these. Elemental ?
Is it the Crimson Fire Fury whatever card?
It is question elemental.
A question elemental.
Elves.
Don't know.
Elvish impersonators.
Cool.
All right. I believe in your ability to get this one. Creature type Gus.
Gus?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well done. Very good. Very good. Creature type Lady of Proper Etiquette.
Oh, is that the 3/1 angel?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name.
Misdemeanor.
That's right.
Lobster.
Rock lobster.
Originally printed without the creature type, but added in the Oracle and later versions of the card. Well done.
Cool.
And last but certainly not least, the biggest, baddest, nastiest, scariest creature you'll ever see.
Is that the big fuzzy giant? Furry giant?
Come on, man.
BFG.
Nope. What is the name of the card?
What card?
The card you're trying to say.
Big furry giant.
Big furry monster. Who are you?
I just blanked.
You're
Come on, this is not an easy thing.
BFG. What is this? This isn't Doom. I think you got Mesa Chicken. You got Gus.
Give me a 2.
You got 3. Okay. You got Mesa Chicken, Gus, and Lobster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving you Big Furry Giant. Guess what? That's the mechanics for this set. There effectively are none. I mean, die rolls are fine in a non-serious setting.
Right.
Doing them in the Dungeons and Dragons set that they did is fine.
Well, the cards just weren't that good.
That's why it was fine.
At the end of the day, like that's the solution to all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Unglued naturally solves it by it doesn't matter how good any of these cards are, you're not allowed to play with them outside of this context.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be really careful with the die rolling cards being super swingy.
I thought they actually did that well in the Dungeons and Dragons set because, as you mentioned, the cards weren't very good.
I can say that I was there at the time as a contractor, and that was on purpose.
Okay.
It was not a mistake that those cards went out the door pointed pretty low.
Good. Mission accomplished in that regard. Mission accomplished on the mechanics of Unglued. Moving on to the cycles of this set right after this. All right, everybody, we are here for the cycles of Unglued. But before we begin, we must, of course, start with our good friend Brian Colville and his fantastic YouTube channel, Bosch and Roll.
Head over to youtube.com/BoschandRoll to watch Eternal Constructed Specialist Brian Colville play a new Eternal deck every single weekday. With over 1,000 videos in his YouTube archive, if there's a certain Eternal card or deck that you want to see in action, Brian has almost certainly played with it, and there will be video for you to watch of it. Best of all, Brian is outrageously good at Magic, as he's a SCG Tour Invitational Champion, a Grand Prix Champion, and an Eternal Weekend Vintage Champion. YouTube.com/BoschandRoll, where Magic history is played every day.
All right. Well, Unglued, it doesn't have many mechanics, as we've just discussed, but it does have cycles, 4 of them to be exact. And we're going to start with maybe the most obscure of the bunch, which are the old chickens. We got chickens, 5 of them in this set. They're 5 common cards that deal with chickens in Unglued in some sort of fashion by either being chickens, producing chicken tokens, or turning creatures into chickens. These cards are supplemented by the rare chicken lord, Chicken a la King. Those 5 cards are Mesa Chicken, Foul Play, Poultrygeist, Chicken Egg, and Free Range Chicken, which I know Patrick likes the name of these cards.
They're really well named. And I think the creature type selection here is also pretty interesting. I don't know how intentional this was, but Magic has real world animals all over the place. You got horses and birds and
true.
They're just, alligators and crocodiles and snakes and whatever. Yep. There's like real world animals there. So why chicken? And it's goofy for sure for a reason that's hard to quantify, but it's definitely there.
Yep.
But it's not so dissonant with things that Magic already does, which is kind of, again, to come back to it, what I really appreciate about this set is that, there's some weird stuff going on, but it's like a half step removed or a full step removed. It's not an entirely different game or an entirely different world. And why not chickens? We got other animals. But this one is probably goofy enough that we would never really do it in a set.
I do kind of wonder now if there are other chickens in Magic ignoring these style of sets. I'm going to believe the answer is yes. Moving on. Double spells. Let's talk about them. 5 common spells, 2 instants and 3 sorceries, each with a converted mana cost of 5 mana. Each spell takes effect twice, once when cast and once at the beginning of the next game played with a given player. The flavor text on these 5 cards can be rearranged to form a limerick. That's fun. Here are the 5 cards: Double Dip, Double Take, Double Cross, Double Deal, and Double Play Baseball. Mm-hmm. What do you think of these 5 cards?
I kind of hate to say it, but this is really well done. Very clearly not something you could do in any sort of organized play setting.
Yeah, not even close.
But with casual games, if you're playing with your buddies at the table, they just work. They're fine.
Yeah, it's true. If it's just like you and your friend.
But when you read them, they're so wild and fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
And something that I like about this is the outputs on them are very straightforward, innocent things, deal some damage, gain some life or whatever.
Yep.
But you get the punchline at the end.
Yeah.
Everything looks normal until you get to the end and you're like, oh, that's so weird. But also, again, if you're in the environment of playing with your friends in a casual setting, these work fine.
Let's move on to our third cycle then. How do these work? Teammates. 5 cards that acknowledge gameplay with more than 2 players. Get a Life, Checks and Balances, Organ Harvest, Ricochet, Team Spirit. I call these the original Commanders.
Yes.
This is like built for Commander, even though Commander wasn't a thing then.
Right. But multiplayer back then, I can speak to someone who did do this.
Okay.
We played a lot of a format called Emperor, which is basically 3-on-3. The person in the middle is the Emperor on each team.
Okay.
You win by defeating the Emperor.
Are you guys like 1, 2, 3, and then the other team 1, 2, 3?
Right.
We're all on the so we're on the same side and they're on the same side.
Right. And there's some rule about if I'm one of the generals, the person on the right or the left, I'm not allowed to target the Emperor until I clear out of the person in front of me.
Oh.
So I know people have different variations of Emperor. That's the way that we played it.
Okay.
But we had the notion of teammates in the version, the multiplayer, whatever, precursor to Commander sort of thing that we played at the time.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You have to kill the person across from you first
to be able to target the Emperor.
Okay.
And we usually had rules that like anything that hit all players would hit the teammate next to you and the person across from you.
Okay.
Whatever. It's not always clean to resolve or whatever,
sure,
but like this is the core experience here.
Okay.
So yeah, the teammate cards work just fine there.
Okay. Here's the last cycle. There's only 3 cards in it. It's the coolest cycle in the set. Rock, paper, scissors cycle. These 4/3 common artifact creatures costing 4 and illustrated by Heather Hudson, each corresponding to the game rock, paper, scissors. When any was in play, it prevented the other appropriate creature from attacking or blocking. But no one has these in play. These are to start the game. Look, you and I are pretty big on high roll.
Mm-hmm.
Odd even, lame. Rock, paper, scissors, dope.
Yeah, we did actually play draw with rock, like these 3 cards.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Again, really fun, really pleasing to look at these cards. But you know what? You could just put them in a core set. They play fine. They play fine. Just it's unlikely that the thing ever comes up, right? And maybe that's a reason not to do it.
Okay.
But as wacky as they look and as humorous as they are, you could just print them in a standard set right now.
I wonder if they're like in that there's no way they're in like the Foundations product, but it'd be cool if they were.
Again, I'm sorry. It's just not that bad of a set. It's not.
Fine.
It's well done.
Fine. Rock, paper, scissors is well done.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Those are the cycles. Chicken, double spells, teammates, and rock, paper, scissors. The things I did not think I'd ever be saying when recording episodes of this show, but here we are. So what's next? We're going to try some weird toothpaste back here? Definitely not. But what we will do is prepare to go over a bunch of trivia because there is so much for Unglued right after this. All right, everybody. It's time for the meat of the show, the bulk of the show. It's the trivia part of the Unglued episode here of the Resleevables. There's a lot because these cards are weird. So, look, do I know if all of these are true? I don't. But this is what I found on the internet, and the internet's never wrong. Look at me, I'm the DCI, was drawn by Mark Rosewater after a picture of Richard Garfield. Rosewater received $1 for his artwork.
Nice.
I believe
a paid artist.
I believe this to be true. A paid artist indeed. Mark Rosewater dressed up like a chicken for Unglued's pre-release. I believe that to be true.
That sounds that I would not believe the opposite of that.
Okay, great. This will be a fun way to attack trivia. What do we believe is true here? Giant Fan is blowing Randy Galagos' signature off the card. Well, we can just look at that and know that's true. So we're good there.
Okay.
No problem. Phil Foglio used the pseudonym Claymore J. Flapdoodle. I believe that to be true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's actually an artist's name on the set, so...
BFM, Big Furry Monster, not Big Furry Giant, is wearing the former 2 largest creatures in Magic, Phyrexian Dreadnought and Polar Kraken, as jewelry. Its flavor text also references Polar Kraken's flavor text. All right, well, let's confirm this. Big Furry... Oh, God, I hate how they split it across. Damn it. Split across 2 cards. All right, hold on. This makes this so much harder. All right, Scryfall. Shut up. Okay. This is way harder than he has any right to be. I have to open up 2 different windows on Scryfall. All right, here we go.
This is really good.
It was big. Really, really big. No bigger than that. Even bigger. Keep going. More. No more. Look, we're talking Krakens and Dreadnoughts for jewelry. It was big. Okay. Now I got to check out my buddy Polar Kraken and his flavor text, which you'd think I would have memorized since it's one of my favorite cards of all time. And it's probably between us right now. Okay. Polar Kraken. It was big. Really, really big. No bigger than that. It was big. Okay, cool.
Yeah, great.
I accept these terms.
It's even bigger.
Confirmed true. The text box on Prismatic Wardrobe is pieces of all 6 non-land text boxes stitched together. Oh, okay. It's up here. That's true. Okay. Good job, trivia team. Whatever. The maze pictured on the desk in you're making me laugh. Bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Has no solution.
Okay.
Richard Garfield is referenced in the card text. Okay. I believe that to be true. Rock Lobster walks on broken metal pieces. Confirming. That's okay, I think that's true. We have Scissors Lizard walks on scraps of paper. I'm positive that's true. Yep. And then the Paper Tiger walks on rocks. Mm-hmm. Confirmed again. Okay. This is the best part of the set, by the way.
Yeah, it's sweet.
It's not even close. I think the lands might be better, but it's one or the other. The Goblin Bowling Team is sponsored by Pashulik Mons, which is a goblin from. I want to see what set this card's from. It's a Goblin Warrior. It had at least one card, I think, from Dominaria.
That's my recollection too.
Yeah. Okay. Did you work on that set?
No.
Okay. All right. On Volrath's motion sensor, Griffin Ilvek has Volrath's emblem printed on his pajamas. Good for you. Mm-hmm. The model for the wizard in Mine was Daniel, I'm going to go with Gelon, Gelon. The model for Jalem Grifter was brand manager Joel Mick. Chaos Confetti was designed by Jeff
Donay,
Pro Tour head judge. And now this is where you get to come to play.
Okay, so Jeff Donay, a very influential figure in Magic.
Okay.
Probably the most important thing was inventing both the notion and the branding for Friday Night Magic.
Oh, he did that?
That's Jeff Donay.
Wow. Okay.
Jeff Donay was also my first boss at Upper Deck. I have a lot of stories about being under Jeff's stewardship, which are not appropriate for this show.
Okay.
But I will give you a glimpse into him as a game design Willy Wonka of sorts.
Okay, so this is an Upper Deck story without being an Upper Deck story.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Okay.
So maybe about 20 years ago, around that time, myself and 2 co-workers had returned from lunch. And we had eaten lunch and then gone to a store to purchase some DVDs. A person in our group, big movie fan,
okay,
and just was next door to where we had lunch. Go get some DVDs.
Okay.
So Upper Deck, the office at the time, there's a parking lot and the building, and then this is just a ravine that's next to it.
Okay.
So we are walking back into the building, and my coworker has a bag of their DVDs that they purchased.
Okay.
And Jeff Donay is also coming back to the office at the same time. And Jeff goes, "What you got in the bag?" My coworker goes, "Some DVDs, some movies." So Jeff pulls them out and he goes, "Oh, this one's good. This one's good. This one's good." And he gets to Gone in 60 Seconds.
Nick Cage.
And he goes, "More like Gone in 0 seconds." Throws it into the ravine, pulls out his wallet, hands my coworker 20, goes back inside. Just took the DVD and threw it down a canyon. Because I guess I don't even know if he doesn't like the movie or if it was just a funny joke. But there you go.
Like a streamlined butterfly. I can quote more of that movie than I'm proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot growing up. I think it's quite bad.
Yes.
But boy, did I like it.
Yeah. So Jeff has actually been my boss multiple times at multiple different places.
Okay.
A lot of fondness for him. But he is a character of sorts and was very involved in Magic around this time. As you mentioned, Pro Tour head judge and very influential figure in organized play from the Pro Tour all the way down to the LGS, but also a little bit of, shall we say, a wild card.
My favorite kind of people. Wasn't a fan of Eleanor, clearly, the Mustang from that movie. Let's talk about the creatures on Foul Play and how they were meant to be clam folk, but nobody told this to Mark Poole. Okay. Gerrymandering was based on a spell called Echo Shift that Richard Garfield cut from Alpha. Gus used the unused art for a card called Boogeyman that was considered for Portal. I believe that to be true.
Okay.
Temp of the Damned used the unused art for a card called the Gnarled that was considered for Visions.
Can't say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Yep.
That's not you gotta get the Choi, you gotta get the bleep box on that.
Okay.
Not allowed to say that.
The full art lands were thought up by...
I really like the idea of a game overwhelmingly made by white guys in the 90s.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's a joke.
Yeah. Oh.
I got a joke for you.
Yeah.
It's just a slur.
Yeah.
This is like, that's pretty funny, right?
So this is part of the problem I have with the set. I'm not saying it's not a problem for you either, but this is why I don't like the set that much. Now, I do agree with you as we've gone through things that there are some well-designed things here.
Mm-hmm.
So no argument there. What I would like is maybe for someone to review the set and go, hey, maybe not a great idea. That's all. Second set of eyes, which is why I asked the design and development question at the beginning. The full art lands were thought up by Christopher Rush several years earlier. A genius. An actual genius. I'm Rubber, You're Glue had to be recommissioned. The original art was just an extension of Free For All, but the Leprechaun was meant to be knocked into a total other card. I believe that to be true. The art of Infernal Spawn of Evil was created by Ron Spencer as a joke for a card in Tempest block. I believe that to be true. The revision from Demon to Beast in the type line was done in the hand of the set's editor, Jennifer Clark Wilkes. Why wouldn't that be true? All 94 cards in the Unglued set each had a single word printed on the bottom of the card. When combined in proper numerical order with other cards in the series, spell out the following secret message. Brace for impact here, folks. Here are some cards that didn't make it to print. Socks of Garfield, Hot Monkey Love, Colonel's Secret Recipe, Squeeze Play, Band in France, Spoon, Disrobing Scepter, Butt Wolf, Lotus Roach, Sesame Efreet, Needless Reminder Text, Chicken Choker, Clockwork Doppelganger, Henway, Help I'm Trapped in Cardamundi, Mad Cow, Poke, Lord of Wombats, Gratuitous Babe Art, Brothers War Bonds, Dwarven Kickboxer, Mickey's Drunk, Packed with the Wastes, COPBO, Urza's Chia Pet, Thalid Shooter, Shoelace, When Chihuahuas Attack, Wall of Cookies, Kobold Ninja, Muscusaur, Keldoran Outhouse, Bear in the Woods, Dental Thrall, Flavatog, Serial Killer.
These sound like names that were rejected for the band Limp Bizkit.
Okay.
It's like you could believe that
yeah,
any of these could have just been the name of that band.
If anyone told me that one of these names of a card was a new metal band,
right,
in the early 2000s,
and guess what? This was made in '98. That was the peak for new metal.
Absolutely. Did you get the new album from
$3 bill, y'all?
Did you get the new album by Lord of Wombats?
Yeah,
I did.
Right, totally.
Yeah, I can see. Did you watch TRL when you were growing up? Carson Daly,
a little bit,
any of that stuff. Carson Daly would paint his nails sometimes because he wanted to show that he was cool with like Korn and Limp Bizkit and stuff. And then like, also had to do like the whole NSYNC thing. But I could just see Carson Daly like number 8 on the TRL countdown. Didn't get a lot of votes, but got enough to be on the show. Insert song by Wall of Cookies.
Yeah. Scissors Lizard.
That's right. The ultimate nightmare of Wizards of the Coast customer service has an interesting mana cost. It is one of the few who used a Y before it got removed from the game, and the only card who ever used a Z, unless someone tells me in the YouTube comments that that's not true.
I can't imagine they did. I believe that the Y was used in an alternate printing of Fireball, like in one of the anthology sets or something like that. There was an XY Fireball.
All right.
And was like, so who's the person who thought this was more clear? I want to know. I understand Fireball is a little wordy and a little tricky. Like, that's fine. Who was like, I got it. It's just not enough like algebra. We just need another variable on the card, and that will clear up all the ambiguity.
I'm seeing if I can find. I just Googled XY and Magic the Gathering. I didn't get much on my return search.
I'm almost positive there's a Fireball that is templated that way. And it's just like, come on. If you spend any time interacting with normal people, you would know this is not okay.
I think that is proof that maybe they didn't. How about that? Bronze Calendar makes fun of early Magic artists who would occasionally misunderstand what they are being asked to illustrate. It depicts a bronze colander.
Have I ever told you the Galactus story? It's relevant here.
You have, but
I'll share it with the viewers.
But you can tell it again.
All right. So
it's actually one of my favorites.
We're working on Versus System. It's a Marvel and DC trading card game. It's actually the game I worked on where Jeff Donay was my boss 20 years ago.
Okay.
So just like Magic does, we send out art descriptions of art that we want for the upcoming sets. And the person who was the design lead on this particular set, Andrew Yip, it was a, Skrull, Kree, Silver Surfer, Galactus, kind of a Fantastic Four, kind of an outer space setting for the set. So he sends off an art description that reads, show Galactus just arriving to Earth. Galactus should be blocking out the sun because, Galactus is this monstrous,
gigantic,
just a terrestrial being. It's like a star. So you want to show an image of Galactus that's so large that you can't even see the sun behind Galactus, even though it's so bright out. So a few weeks later, Andrew opens up his email and he starts laughing uncontrollably. And I come over and there's a pencil sketch on his screen of Galactus doing this. Like Galactus forgot their sunglasses or something. And it's just one of my all-time favorite. It's just like, so bright out. Like, what is going on right now? One of my favorite stories about getting art back of all time. It's really good.
Silver Surfer, go get my shades.
Yes. Wow.
What are you doing?
I guess I did drink too much last night. Oh my God.
Can you imagine how big Galactus' sunglasses would be?
There's somewhere, I hope that I can find the image of it. It's somewhere lost in the Upper Deck alumni archives.
Yeah.
But I know someone somewhere has the image of Galactus blocking out the sun.
All right, got a couple more here for you. Spark Fiend encourages you to play craps because you see Spark is craps backwards.
I don't need any encouragement.
KRAPS, yeah. Give me a table that's not too busy. Yeah. I'll be right there. Don't mind if I dooski. Crazy Cow was supposed to be Mad Cow, but this was changed due to the outbreak of mad cow disease in England at the time. Probably a wise decision.
Well, Zach, yeah, sure, but I'm curious the process where it's like, this thing that could be taken as a joke about an ongoing sort of disease related thing that we should pull out just in the spirit of like, why make anyone think about this? Why maybe someone knows someone who is affected by this. Why call it out?
Sure.
Cool. Let's cut it. Slurs, keep them in.
You're saying just cut Crazy Cow from the file, maybe?
Well, no, I'm saying that the instinct of saying, okay, Mad Cow, all right, even if we didn't mean it this way when we designed it, just in the current geopolitical moment, could be taken as a joke that some people could take the wrong way or could be upsetting to certain people. So we're just going to call it something else.
Sure.
Just out of who even knows? Maybe it's 0 people on Earth. Probably not. But like, why risk it? We can just we can just tell a different joke. It's fine, right?
Yeah.
So we'll change it. The slur. What are we going to replace it with? A different slur? We'll just keep it in there, Anyway. Jokes are fun. Everyone loves jokes.
Jokes can be fun. Jokes can be fun. The covered flavor text for Once More with Feeling is something close to, if you could see this, it isn't what you expected. I believe that to be true. All right. This joke is not funny. Gosman Ogress is a misogynistic in-joke about a female player dating multiple pros. Kathy Nikoloff revealed on Reddit that an unflattering nickname given to her by some pro players had inspired the card. Her story was confirmed by Gary Wise. And this is one of my least favorite things that I have found in my research of doing this show ever, because there is a Reddit thread with this information, and it is unfortunately very damaging and, frankly, just really messed up.
It's disgusting, and when people try to hand wave the history of misogyny in the game or in the community or whatever, it's like, not only was this a joke, this went to print.
Yeah.
People thought this was a funny enough wink and do you know what this is all about? That they printed it in a set that they sold in stores.
Yeah.
Grotesque.
Yeah. It's awful. Absolutely awful.
An embarrassment. A stain on the game.
Unglued was the first set to contain tokens randomly inserted in packs, replacing an uncommon. And Unglued was the first set in Magic to refer to teammates, which we went over in the cycle portion of the show. So let us talk about the following list and how every Unglued card on this list inspired a black bordered card or mechanic, like Big Furry Monster, not Giant. It encouraged split cards, 2 cards on 1 instead of 1 card on 2.
Well, it also inspired Meld. For those of you fans of the SCG Tour archives, Big Card Ronson.
That's right, Ronson Big Card.
Ronson Big Card.
Ever heard of it?
This is the start of Ronson Big Card right here.
Everybody gets their start somewhere. Common Courtesy. This is the seals from Nemesis. Seal of Cleansing, Removal, Doom, Fire, and Strength. Foul Play inspired Lignify and Cosmina's Transmutation. Giant Fan inspired Power Conduit and the Ozolith. Goblin Bookie inspired Krark's Thumb. Hungry Heifer inspired, I'm going to say Shizzle. That's not even close to right. Shisei, maybe. Heart of Ocean. Someone can tell me how badly I butchered that. Infernal Spawn of Evil, the forecast mechanic, which I always liked, by the way.
Well,
you could tell me why it's bad.
Talk to me about what you like about it.
Well, I don't know. I'm like kind of spiky and it just seemed kind of fun, but doing the same thing repeatedly is not, I don't think it's your favorite thing.
Doing the same thing repeatedly, and this is pretty explicitly the most, how do you interact with this when it's going on of kind of any of it?
Yeah.
Like, sure, Planeswalkers could be repetitive. Sure, Capsize with Buyback can be repetitive, right? But there's all sorts of things you can be doing to interact with that directly. This is like, okay, so if I don't have a duress, this is just the new reality. It's one of my favorite R&D articles of all time. Was talking about the creation of Dissension, which is where that forecast debuted as a Azorius mechanic at the time.
Pride of the Clouds, what up?
And I don't remember who was telling the story. I don't remember if it was Aaron Forsyth, or I don't remember if it was one of the developers. But I remember this really clearly of Aaron really wanted to do it. The developers came back and said, this is really not fun and risky for all the reasons that I just recommended or suggested. Aaron said, I really, really want to do it. I think it's a great mechanic for blue-white. It feels the right way. And, you know, you have these sources of card advantage that are harder to interact with and whatever. And so Aaron really pushed on, I want this to be the Azorius keyword. The developers just came back and were like, all right, fine. All these cards are going to be bad.
Sure.
Game.
That's a good way to solve the problem.
It is, totally.
Yeah.
And the cards, by and large, are quite weak.
Yeah, I think Sky Hussar is probably the best one, and that's not even that good.
Right. So you could do some combo stuff with it.
Yeah.
It's also just not that bad on rate as a creature for the standards of the time. But that's actually, to me, a good way to do it is, do it once or twice and then give someone an incentive to play it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's missing from a lot of the designs.
Yeah.
It's just, here's the new normal. Here it is. Look at this. Look at this. You like this? Oh, drew another one. You like this? That's not good. But if you can
agree with that,
do it a little bit and then actually cast the card and move on with life, that's a much better way of doing it.
Look at me. I'm the DCI. Inspired cranial extraction. Organ Harvest and Team Spirit. In apparently, these inspired Battle Bonds team cards. Ricochet, not the pro wrestler. Inspired Grip of Chaos. The Chi Stands Alone. Inspired Baron Glory. And the Ultimate Nightmare of Wizards of the Coast Customer Service. Inspired Comet Storm. And last but certainly not least, the aforementioned Timmy Power Gamer inspired Elvish Piper. And now we get into quite the factoid to round out our trivia section. A follow-up set, tentatively called Wacky 2, this time it's personal, or Unglued 2, the obligatory sequel, was announced for summer 1999 but never got made. This was an entirely different set from Unhinged and featured animated vegetables, puny Jin, Santuar elves, and an alternate take on Sarah Angel. Maybe it's the green-black Sarah Angel.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. Mark laid down the foundation for that great designer search question all the way back in 1998. Who knew?
There you go. This unset was designed by Mark Rosewater, but never published. Like its predecessor, it was to be a silver-bordered parody set and was to be used outside of normal Magic expansions. This was an entirely different set from Unhinged, as mentioned, though that set reused some elements. When Unglued was to be released in 1998, people were very excited. It was something new and different Wizards of the Coast hadn't done before. Unglued was instantly perceived as a smash hit and was decided to make a sequel right away. Even before the first set even came out, Mark Rosewater started doing work on the second one. However, Unglued was overprinted and in the end, it netted a negative profit.
That's otherwise known in the accounting industry as a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did. Some of this is interesting. It's like smash success, people really excited, and then it just sold badly. It's a black eye, probably shut down however many LGSs, and then we just couldn't do the obligatory sequel because it's not obligatory if it didn't go well the first time.
That's true. You're right about that.
Jurassic Park,
Mm-hmm.
the follow-up, that's obligatory. Too popular, too much money to not do it.
That's right.
This, maybe not so much, but fine.
Because it didn't do that well, comparatively because of the overprinting, the second set ended up getting put on hiatus and never made. A major theme of Unglued 2 was poison. Poison had originally been a major theme of Tempest, but R&D had at the same time decided to phase poison out of Magic. Rosewater figured Silver Border would be the perfect place to resurrect mechanic. Poison was keyworded with a number. What this meant was when this creature dealt combat damage to you, you got that many poison counters. Poison N would later be redone as Poisonous N in Future Sight, which makes me remember, I think it's Virulent Sliver.
Correct.
And the Sliver kids.
Yeah.
Jacob
Lockman.
Van Lunen and Chris Lockman.
Yeah, the
doctor.
Dr. Lockman.
The good doctor, winning the Pro Tour, the two-headed giant Pro Tour in San Diego.
Just two more New Jersey Pro Tour champions.
There
no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal at all. Like Unglued had chickens, its successor had animated vegetables, which Rosewater picked to be the poison creatures. In addition, every artist was asked to hide a vegetable in his or her art. Note that some of the art from Unglued 2 was used in Unhinged, so there are also some hidden vegetables in the art of Unhinged. Another theme of the set was voting. There was a cycle of voting cards, giving every player one vote and then spelling out how people could get additional votes. This idea was later used in Conspiracy. Okay. The set also used scratch cards. Shout out Alex Majleton. There would be an extra print sheet with scratch-off cards so that players would get one in every booster pack. Each card would have 3 scratch-off lines on it, and each time you cast it, you would scratch one line off. Each scratch-off card had 10 different versions, so players wouldn't know which version they had. The art of these cards looked like scratch-off lottery tickets. There were 2 in each color. You ever play like the scratch-off game with friends?
Yes.
Where you bought... Okay, so how did you play?
Well, there's a couple different there's variations of it, right?
Okay, so I don't know any variations. Basically, like, me and Alex and others from the Maryland area, like, you go by scratch-offs, and then whoever wins the least gets them all.
Okay.
That was the way we played.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do any variation of that. But
that's like my favorite game. Mm-hmm. It's that and then slot. You ever done slot machine racing?
I have not.
Do you know what slot machine racing is?
I think I can put it together.
All right. So you all put the same amount of money into a slot machine.
And it's the first person to bust out.
Yeah, they win. And then they get the money. They get the money from the other machines that are left over. The people have to push cash out. So anytime you win or whatever, it's really bad for you. Yeah, it's a great game. I'm a normal person. Anyway, like Unglued 2 further had a die rolling theme. Another feature was the often snarky reminder text on the cards. On top of that, Wizards of the Coast were considering having bubblegum in each pack, which did not happen, which that'd be interesting. I wonder what the cost is to mass produce packs with bubblegum.
This is the Homer Simpson car of set ideas.
Yes,
we need a little bit of editing here.
Yeah.
All right. Can you pick your 6 favorite ideas and cut the other 11?
Yeah, sure. Well, look, when you're designing and developing on your own, you're unstoppable. The set was planned to include a cycle of split cards as well as a Colors Matters theme, but both of which, were later printed in modified form in Invasion. And since this, Unset never made it to print, individual card designers crept their way into tournament legal sets. Individual card designs crept their way into tournament legal sets. Some art of Unglued 2 was used for unhinged Arena League promos. So there's your little fun factoid of Unglued 2 never came to be. It was called Unglued 2, the obligatory sequel, which again, obligatory.
Right. It's turned out it wasn't.
Yeah. Believe it or not. And like I've said with most of the other trivia, I believe that to be true. Mm-hmm. So that is the trivia here for Unglued and Unglued 2. So now we take a short break and we move on to the award show, which will be unlike any award show we've ever done before, right after this. All right, everybody. It's time for your favorite part of the show. Our favorite part of the show is everybody's favorite part of the show. It's the award show for the Unglued Resleevables. And we're going to start things off like we always do with the Oko Thief of Crown Award for best card in the set. Your selection.
It was Organ Harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this thing's pretty messed up, and especially if you actually do it in a multiplayer or Emperor style setting.
Yeah, this is going to be fun to apply our awards to a fake joke set.
I bet you could kill people really easily with this card.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
Because part of the problem when you're like with the Call the Week style designs is you need to have cheap creatures and your rituals and then a payoff, and it's just a lot of moving parts. This is, you can just leave the token generation or whatever to someone else.
Okay, sure.
So that's a really powerful way to do something in multiplayer.
My selection was Blacker Lotus. It's a lot of mana.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? What do we take? You tear this into pieces, add 4 mana of any one color to your mana pool, play this ability as a mana source, cost 0. And look, I'm not a card.
But that is busted.
But I might be up a game.
Right.
So there you go.
But then your deck list is illegal. So it's like,
I just bring more Blacker Lotuses with me.
It's hard to have that many. If everyone's doing the same thing, it's tough.
All right, well, that's true.
Eventually it becomes more expensive than actual Black Lotus.
Okay, that's probably true. Carnival of Souls Award for worst card in the set. Really easy selection here for me. I'm going to mention Gazban Ogress for all the reasons that it's horrible. So for me, it's far and away the worst card in the set, given the intention behind the card. For you.
I gave it to Double Dip, setting aside the judgment on that joke.
Yeah.
5 gain 5 and then do it again is, it's just not that good.
Yo, dog.
And to the extent that life gain is good, it's usually doing one huge chunk of it, not spreading it across all of your games.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Look, I'm at 25. to start the next game.
Right.
Beat that, hotshot.
Yeah. But this card's still in your deck, so it's just hard to win. Whatever.
All right, maybe you're right. Doomblade Award for best non-rare in the set. You don't have an answer.
I refuse to answer this. Best role player?
Yeah.
Role player.
Hater.
I would give it to the Goblin Bookie. Because it rolls things well.
Do you flip a coin again? Or is
it's
it
re-roll? I thought it was re-roll or reflip.
Let me check the bookie. I don't know it as well as I should. It's reflip any coin or re-roll any die. Okay.
Got it.
All right, you nailed it.
Yeah, that's the best role player.
All right, well, I took it probably...
Play on words. You see, that's a joke. It's in the spirit of the set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I took this more seriously than I should have. Volrath's motion sensor, single black enchant player, ETB, excuse me, when it enters, choose target hand controlled by an opponent. That's you.
Mm-hmm.
Enchanted player balances Volrath's motion sensor on the back of that hand. If Volrath's motion sensor falls off the hand, sacrifice it, and that player loses 3 life. I view it as a lightning bolt.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you want to do a little Rakdos burn, there you go.
A little bump in the night.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like you ever flashback bump the night anyway.
No.
How many times do you ever flashback bump the night? It's got to be less than 5.
I know. First of all, so as someone who has played that card a lot, 1, definitely fewer than 5 times.
Great.
2, definitely have never won a game where it's happened.
Oh yeah.
It's like we're in garbage time here. I flooded out.
Yeah, no way.
You're down to 11.
Beautiful. Tough. Aboro Palace in the Clouds Award for fun of one of in the set. I decided to make my own rules for this, and I said paper tiger, rock lobster, and scissor lizard because you only ever need 1,
mm-hmm.
and then you're good to decide who goes first in every game in perpetuity. So that's my answer. Yours is.
Look at me. I'm the DCI.
That is correct.
Yeah, that's Cranial Correction is really fun as a one of. And it's really fun in a multiplayer setting too, because the pace of the game is usually much slower, and everyone's got 1 card in their deck that annoys everyone else at the table, and you just go, meh.
See you later.
Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm the DCI.
Look at me. Mystic Confluence Award for best vintage cube card in the set. No answer. Patrick wouldn't let me have any fun with this.
Yeah, the best role player one here, I gave it a good 30 seconds before going, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
This one I was yelling at Cedric. I'm not doing this one.
That happened. Smothering Tide Award for best commander card in the set. Do you remember your answer?
Infernal Spawn of Evil.
That's correct.
It's got a little bit of, hey, don't mess with me. Like I have some agency over where the damage is going.
Yeah, okay.
It's also a big creature.
It is a 9
they
mana
love
7/7.
they love their big creatures.
They do.
They're big old boys.
Mine is Strategy Schmategy. This is a red card, and let's see where here it is. It's 1 in a red sorcery. You roll a 6-sided die. On a 1, Strategy Schmategy has no effect. Otherwise, it has one of the following effects: 2, destroy artifacts; 3, destroy all lands; 4, deals 3 damage to each creature and player; 5, each player discards his or her hand and draws 7 cards; 6, roll the die 2 more times. That's Commander fun.
And also, you didn't mention it, but this might have been the inspiration for Incendiary Command. It's like,
okay,
here's a bunch of random garbage you didn't ask for. Just figure out how it's going to be like.
That's true.
It's even got Winds of Change involved. They both have Winds and Shades.
Okay, hang on. I haven't looked at Incendiary Command in a while. Incendiary Command. It does do like all of that stuff. All right, so this is a command from Lorwyn, 5 mana. I remember that. Deal 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Deals 2 damage to each creature. Destroy target non-basic. Or, Winds of Change. Dude, well done.
Yeah.
Nice memory on that card.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I remember that one just because at the time, as someone who plays a lot of red, I was in that space of like, why does red always get the worst one in this cycle? Which is obviously not true and whatever, just all these things ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But that's one where the other 4 were not messing around.
Yeah.
And this is just like, 5 mana Stone Rain and shuffle up and try again.
Yeah, sure.
So this one, I remember this card pretty well.
Pack Rat Award for best limited card in the set, assuming that limited would ever be played of this set. I took this too serious, and my answer is foul play. Like turns everything into a 1/1, so you win in combat. Your answer is much better if you remember.
The ultimate nightmare of Wizards of the Coast customer support.
Customer service.
Customer service.
Yeah. Apparently this is basically like a mega fireball.
Yep.
Basically. So that's a better answer than mine.
Also a card that I sort of appreciated as a player at the time because I used to crank call their customer service line a lot.
Should probably start. Do you think they still have a customer service line?
I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. The Circle Protection Award for Best Hoser in the set. We have the same answer, which is Psychic Network. I chose for Patrick. This is the card where you put your draw step on your forehead and you turn it to your opponent. So now they can play around everything that you have. See? That's like a hoser, sort of. Great. Good job by me. Moving on. Char Rumbler Award for Weirdest Card in the set. Do you remember your answer?
Goblin something or other.
Goblin Tutor.
Yeah, Goblin Tutor.
This
but no shortage of competition for this award.
That's also true. My answer, I was going to go over Goblin Tutor, but I'm over it. My answer is Big Furry Monster, the old BFM. It is a bit of a weirdo. It's very expensive and it's extremely large. And it is, I wonder how many people know about Big Furry Monster. Like if you're new to this show or if you're newish to Magic, you started playing an arena and you're like, man, Magic has such a long, vast history. And then like Uninfinity came out and you're like, that's weird. What's going on here? How many people know about Big Furry Monster?
It's a sign of culture. I mean, if you're a casual player, you're a commander player, in the same way that you and I talk a lot about how Alpha or all these early sets were inspirations for a lot of things. They laid the foundation for information and craft to build up from these. This is a big step forward for the notion of what it means to play casually.
Big Furry Monster does not have trample.
Well, it's a 99.99. It's kind of corny to have trample. Just say it's lethal. Like what?
Right,
what trample? What are you?
All right.
Yeah, I think I might have enough to block it. Oh no, I took 47.
Yeah. All right, you're right. Blank award for best card name in the set. Your answer,
Big Furry Monster.
That's correct. Which best card name in the set? But you couldn't get it right.
No, I mean This is a tough one for me to keep a steady level of stamina through. This show, there's ebbs and flows.
All right.
A lot of laughter and a lot of just I thinking about something else, I guess.
Well, the honesty's fair. My answer is Jack in the Mox because that's a fun thing to say. And it's actually kind of a cool card. Now we get to an award that I don't think anyone can argue. The John Avon Award for Best Land Artwork in the set.
The Island.
It's the Island.
But they're all great.
They're all
the Island's good. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Do you think over the course of Magic history for the 5 basics, Islands have like the best one? You know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot you could do with them. Is kind of the nice thing because you could make the land or the water as big or small of the image as you want to.
Sure.
So there's a more creative flexibility there, I would say.
Okay.
I really most of the basic land art that I love the most either are mountains or forests.
Okay.
I think swamp is probably a dead last for me. It's just too homogenous.
Yeah, they're all
kind of hard to do different.
They're all kind of the same.
But there's really beautiful basic land artwork all over, I think.
Aurelius Freely Award for most overhyped card during previous season and Tarmogoyf Award for most underhyped card during previous season do not apply here, which means to a certain viewer out there, we have one thing left to do. All right, everybody, it's time to shut this show down, shut this episode of the Resleevables down. But first, you're going to learn more about my Magic the Gathering inspired apparel company, Coalesce Apparel and Design, and how you can get these sweet shirts that we're wearing on that website.
You can head over to coalesceapparel.shop, the #1 store for Magic the Gathering inspired apparel, to check out their selection of shirts, hoodies, stickers, playmats, and a whole bunch more, including their brand new Devoid collection to celebrate Modern Horizons 3 and Resleevables merchandise meant for the loyalist of Jackal Pups. When checking out, be sure to use gift code Resleevables to get 10% off your entire order. Coalesce Apparel and Design, nobody made what they wanted, so they made it themselves.
Alrighty, Patrick. What card won Unglued?
I'm going to give it to The Cheese Stands Alone.
Okay.
I think it sort of exemplifies the best things about the set.
Okay.
Which is the name's very funny. The name matches the mechanics. it does appear to be a casual, by which I mean not serious card.
Okay.
But it actually is compatible with Magic's core engine to the extent that it's a card that got printed in a real set.
Okay, that's true.
It's pretty impressive.
All right. Do I have a card that won? Yeah, I do have a card that won this set, actually. I'm cheating a little bit. The Unglued Island. It's like one of the coolest lands of all time. And it set the standard for making... Yeah, I did it. It set the standard for...
Beat his ass in the comments.
Set the standard.
You made me think about best role player in the set, and now you're going with an island?
What can I say? I don't like the set that much. Set the standard for lands in the future as well, and might be the most famous card from the set. Maybe. I don't really have any way to judge that. But that's my answer. Now, Patrick, I'm going to give this set a grade.
Go for it.
Man. I'm going to give it a 4. Look, this set is not for me. I know that about me. This humor is mostly a whiff for me. Ignoring some of the bad things that happened, we've already gone over with the set. I do agree with you that some things here were actually well done and did influence Magic's history, which is a good thing. But this style of humor and this style of gameplay and rolling dice and having to say certain cards and stand up and do a bunch of stuff, just not even close to a type of thing I ever would want to do, ever. I would never play a set like this. Again, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't. This is certainly for some people. And to those people who enjoy this kind of thing, God bless you. Enjoy it, do it, love it. Not everything has to be for everyone. But for me, this is not the kind of game or Magic I ever want to be playing. So this doesn't do it for me. But again, I do recognize, mostly because of him, that there are some good things going on here. So I give it a 4, which is higher than I thought I was going to say before we hit record on our machines.
All right. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to give Unglued a 7.
All right.
No judgment on whether or not you're supposed to do this sort of thing. But for what it is well executed, which is the cards are pretty much playable in the core experience. Some of it clearly isn't. But you have this experience looking through the set, or at least I do, of like, oh yeah, that's an obvious joke. Oh yeah, that's an obvious joke. It kind of washes over you. But if you're paying attention, you hit a couple of things that are just, oh, is that something you couldn't do in a real set?
Okay.
No, I think you could. And some of these have been directly ported over into real sets in the future. I think the basic lands are really important for the product, having at least some hook for people who are not casual Magic players and have inspired different frames and treatments for basic lands over the years. So that's a pretty big step forward. I think compared to the sets that came after in the same space, the bad jokes are not on top of you nearly as much. A lot of the humor just comes from the name. That's just where the joke is.
Okay.
It's not trying to... We don't have a room of pretend comedy writers trying to tell jokes all over the place.
Sure.
They're just these like quick little one-hitters. And the cards are, again, with some of the silly stuff, like Mesa Chicken is a really good example of, it's a creature where you can jump up and down and dance like a chicken to give it flying until end turn. It's like, you could just make a 2/2 flyer for 2.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So that card is kind of compatible with the game engine, while also obviously not being compatible with the game engine. There's a lot of like cool design hooks going on here. The dings against it. I think the joke here is a slur. The joke is we're making fun of a real person in the community who's like already subjected to terrible behavior by these goons who play Magic competitively. Yeah. There's some stuff that's like, even within the context of doing something humorous is mean-spirited.
Yep.
Which I ding several points for that. But if you set that aside and you sort of hand wave whether or not you're supposed to do this in the first place, or is this for you, I think it is a well-crafted set for what it is.
Okay. Well, I can agree with you that it's well-crafted for what it is. It's just, it's a brick for me.
You compare this file to the Infinity, and it's just,
Oh, that's
if you had to play with one or the other.
I would play with this.
For sure.
I would play with this.
You could, if you played Seal Deck and you just had one booster of Unglued thrown into it and you just played and every once in a while one of your opponents played an Unglued card, it would be totally fine.
Yeah, I would play with this.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Alrighty, everybody. It's time to do some shilling our way out the door. And, you know, shout out our sponsors. So let's get started here with our YouTube channel where you probably watch this episode, which is youtube.com/theresleevables, where you can find our most recent episode of The Resleevables, in which we covered Old Tempest Block as well as Portal Second Age. And we're getting geared up here for Saga Block in just a bit. You can find our most recent episode of the Resleevables Tournament Edition, which is the 1996 World Championship. Very, very cool. Mono white, getting the W there. You can find snippets of our Unsleeved podcast, and you can, of course, watch our Crack-a-Pack videos, which we'll have one coming from this set very soon. Look at this.
Boom shakalaka.
I did look up to see what the most expensive card in the set is for the person who posted in our comments on our Crack-a-Packs, how much the pack is worth. Not great.
What's the island worth?
I think it's like $6.
Sick.
Yeah, that part's good.
Yeah, that's our hit.
Yeah, and we're hoping open lands. Let's just keep it honest here. You can also subscribe over on patreon.com/theresleevables. Where you get access to our early releases of both the Resleevables and the Resleevables Tournament Edition. So you could be watching this episode there. You get access to our Unsleeved podcast, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast. You get access to early releases of our Crack-a-Pack videos and the ability to win the second pack. How?
Well, if you head over to patreon.com/resleevables, you can find a variety of tiers there, which come with some of the benefits that Cedric mentioned, along with signed basic lands and stickers and access to the Unsleeved podcast. If you subscribe at the $10 or $25 tiers, one of the benefits you receive is that you are automatically drawn into our raffles for these booster packs when we give them away. We make one video of the Crack-a-Pack, the one that we open. And then the second booster is given out to someone who is subscribed at the $10 or $25 tier. You don't need to sign up or remind us. That's all automated on our end, on the back end. And at the end of our Crack-a-Pack video, we announce who won the booster pack, and that could be you. And even if this booster is not super appealing to you, and maybe it is, maybe it's not.
Good setup.
We got some big hitters coming down the pipeline here.
Urza Saga, ever heard of it?
Broke the bank on that.
Urza's Legacy.
Foil Grim Monolith in there, obviously.
Okay. Urza's Destiny. What's good in here?
There's a ton of hits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Masticore.
It used to be. It's not Masticore anymore.
Whatever.
But I think a foil Masticore is still a grip.
It's probably still fine.
Yeah.
6th edition. I don't even know when we're doing this. But there you go.
Don't care.
Yeah. I can't wait
Not
to
important.
do it. Yeah, it's true. All right. Sponsors, real quick. Tales of Adventure. Eternal lives over there. You can head over to their website and use the promo code Resleevables for 5% off your order. You can go to Coalesce Apparel and Design and find some sweet Magic-inspired merch or Resleevables merchandise, shirts and hoodies, and use promo code Resleevables at checkout to get 10% off. And, of course, Brian Colville's YouTube channel, Bosh and Roll, where he's playing Eternal every weekday. And when he's not, he's winning Black Lotuses on the weekend because he's really good at Magic. So, what's next here on the Resleevables? Well, the aforementioned Urza Saga. We're finally there, everybody. A lot of folks in the comments, the DMs, slid on in and said they can't wait for us to get to Saga Block. We've gotten through... I kind of view everything pre-Saga Block as like stage 1 of Magic.
This might be just a difference in our era.
Yeah, for sure.
So, for me, stage 1 is everything that came before Mirage.
Okay.
Mirage is the start of there's some organization and underlying principles to what we're doing here.
Okay.
It's not just throwing out random sets.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, for me, with my journey through Magic, Urza Saga really stands out to me as like there's a bunch of powerful cards and weird stuff going on here, and my brain doesn't understand how any of this works, sort of thing. So I'm very excited to go over that set and what they did, which was, boy, did they juice it up, as Patrick has mentioned in the past. As far as the Resleevables Tournament Edition is concerned, we just finished the 1996 World Championship, so we've got a couple of tournaments that close out 1996 that actually impact the 1997 like Pro Tour year and Player of the Year and stuff like that. So we're getting started with that over there. But Unglued is done, so Magic's first joke set is over. I will say this, even though we didn't get to it really quick, the booster artwork is really good.
Yep.
These booster packs actually look really good.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to put expert level on this, but otherwise, yeah, awesome.
Ooh, good call. I missed that. What would you put?
Nothing.
Yeah.
This sort of ignores the idea of the conceits around a player ability.
Yeah.
Also, you could actually show this to a relatively new player and they would get it for the most part.
That's a really good call. I didn't even really realize that was on there. It says 10 bizarre and broken cards, a supplement to Magic the Gathering. Probably shouldn't have expert level on
But this was actually kind of a nice palette cleanser in between two of the most busted sets of all time.
That's true. We'll be getting to one of those busted sets. Urza Saga in our next episode. So for Patrick, I'm Cedric. We'll see you back here. Saga Block coming soon. The flavor text on these 5 cards can be rearranged to form a limerick. That's kind of cool, actually. Mm-hmm. Double Dick. I'm definitely starting over because I just said Double Dick.
Yeah, Double Dick.
The old Double Dick.
Get it now and get it later.
All right. Gotta start that set. We gotta start this over double spells. Here we go. What a great recording this is. Okay.
It's so perfect along with the microphone.
It really is.
Let me just see if this is syncing. This has to be.
Okay, so that wouldn't make any sense. If I brought it lower and had it tilted up, that wouldn't make any sense. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely dropping.
Yep.
Does it make more sense for me to just hold the microphone?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, because it is different than every other episode.
I understand.